It's a booktuber struggle. You film a book haul, then your family decides to go to Barnes & Noble's, and then you buy another book. Then you have to refilm the haul again because you've got a new book. Hello, my name is Leo Valdez, and hot Miss Shizzle, you're watching A Reader's World. So today I'm going to film this haul again. This is my 4th time filming this haul, either because I've been interrupted, the quality of the film sucks, or I got a new book. So let's get started before this becomes an hour-long video. So I got this book back in May. That was Me Before You by Jojo Moy. My parents got me this because I got straight A's for the 3rd quarter, and they're like, what do you want? And I'm like, I want a book. I wanted to read this because the movie was coming out. If you don't know what this book is about, it follows a girl who loses her job and then she becomes a caretaker for a paraplegic, something like that. This book was really good. I really loved reading it. It was a great contemporary, and I really liked the movie too. In May, there were a lot of new releases. So I chose my top 3 most anticipated releases of May and got them all in one box from Barnes & Noble's, and I'm going to haul them right now. First book we have here, of course, it's in the box because every book this author writes, I probably have to have in my possession, and that is Trials of Apollo, The Hidden Oracle by Rick Riordan. I was so happy to hear that Rick Riordan was writing another book series in the Percy Jackson world. I did not like Blood of Olympus. I didn't like how it ended. It didn't wrap up in a bow, and it just felt really odd to leave it just like that. If you don't know what this book is about, this book follows Apollo, who is sent away from Olympus down to Earth and is now in the body of a teenage boy. Like, that summary made me laugh so hard. I've already read this book and absolutely loved it. It was so good. It's one of my favorites of this year. Here is another kind of sequel that I was really excited for, and that is Lois Lane Double Down by Gwenda Bond. This is the 2nd book in the Lois Lane series. The first one was called Lois Lane Fallout. I read it early January and absolutely loved it. This series follows young Lois Lane. If you don't know who Lois Lane is, she is the love interest for Superman. Follow her as a teenager. She is a reporter. I don't really know what this book is about, but I just know that her friend's twin sister faints and no one knows why. Totally recommend this series. So underrated. I love how these authors are bringing superheroes into young adults. I'm still waiting for the Peter Parker young adult book. And we had 2 failed Spider-Man trilogies. We should get a book. Then the last book in my most anticipated book releases of May was The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. Morgan Matson is one of my favorite contemporary authors. Not only does Morgan Matson have a sweet, cute contemporary, there's also some realism in it. It's not all fluffy bunnies and rainbows. In this book, we follow Andy, who has her whole summer planned out, but turns out her job that she was waiting to do has been pulled under her. She doesn't have any more, so now she has to take the job as a dog walker. Did really enjoy this book. It's not my favorite Morgan Matson book, but this book is still good. It's still fun. It's still Morgan Matson. It's not bad. It just wasn't my favorite. Then I went to my elementary school spring fair, and they did have a book sale there for books with for 50 cents, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need this in my life. I went to the young adult section. Not a lot of stuff there, except I did find Echo and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I've heard a lot about this book. Have I read it? No. Will I read it? I'll try. I don't really know what this book is about, except it's kids with superpowers. I don't even know how to say the character's name. Then my mother and I decided to go to a book warehouse and spend our money on new books. Family bonding, everyone. The first book I picked up was Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. I've heard a lot of amazing things about this book and her book Salt to the Sea. I believe is set in World War II, and we follow a girl in a concentration camp. I might be wrong, might be right. I don't know. I kind of want to go into this book without knowing anything about it. All I know is that I'm gonna cry. Next book I picked up is kind of the same thing as Lois Lane. It is a superhero turned young adult book, and that is Black Widow Forever Red by Margaret Soul, who I believe is one of the co-authors of Beautiful Creatures. I heard okay things about that series, but this book sounds awesome. Don't really know much about Black Widow or Natasha Romanoff in the Marvel movies. All we know is she's an assassin, and she was trained to be an assassin since she was a little girl. I kind of want to get more of her character a little bit, and I'll be really excited to read about one of my favorite Avengers. The next two books I picked up, I was really excited to find these in hardcover because I have the first book of the series in hardcover, so I want the whole series to be hardcover, and those books are Scarlet and Cress from the Lunar Chronicles. If you don't know what a Lunar Chronicles is, a fairy tale in space that sounds pretty badass and awesome. Red Cinder, I did really enjoy it. It was a fun read. I'm super excited to get back into the world. Weeks later, I went to Barnes & Noble's. And you know when you go into Barnes & Noble's and you don't know what to buy? That's basically me in Barnes & Noble's. There's so many books. So basically, I went to the bargain table, because there's a lot of stuff at the bargain table, and this book was said to be $2, which it was, and I was like, okay, I'll spend $2 on this book, and that is Afterworld by Scott Westerfeld. I can't believe this is $2, because look at the condition it's in, look at the cover, look, it's exclusive, deleted chapters. This book follows a girl who's trying to get her book published, and also in this book is the girl's book. I was really excited to read this, then I saw the score on Goodreads. A lot of people did not enjoy this book. Some people loved this book, some people hated this book. This book I didn't actually purchase myself. My mom and I got It by Stephen King for my dad for Father's Day, and my mom was like, oh yeah, I also got this book, so here. Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton. This is the Alexander Hamilton biography by Ron Chernow. I just thought it was Roy Chernow. Why Roy? The biography that inspired the wonderful, beautiful Hamilton creator, Lin-Manuel Miranda, to write the beauty that is Hamilton. Am I ever gonna read this book? Probably not. Am I happy to have it? Yeah. I mean, I didn't buy it. Thanks, Mom. Then I was at the beach, and my beach has this huge bookstore. I was looking at all the books, and I was like, ooh, that book, I've heard really good things about that book. My grandma takes the book out of my hand and says, okay, I'm buying it for you. Of course, I didn't deny it because I want a book, and I was like, thanks, Grandma. It was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This book, I've heard so many fantastic things about this book. It's been so hyped up. This is a Beauty and Beast retelling. This book follows a girl named Fairy, shoots a wolf, and she's like, happy Thanksgiving, everyone, I got you food. Then it turns out she's not really that thankful because the wolf was actually a fairy. And if you shoot a fairy, you're screwed. But they decide to take her to the fairyland forever. This book, she goes to the world and crap happens. I've never read this book. What are my thoughts? You'll figure out in the wrap up of August and July. Ha ha. After I went to the beach, I went to Barnes & Noble because I was like, hey, books. And the book I picked up, I heard a lot about from booktube tours, and that is The Neverland Wars by Audrey Greathouse. This book follows Gwen, our 16-year-old main character who has the perfect life. Her parents are really nice, she has a little sister, and she has a crush on Jay, who is soon to be homecoming king. Her life turns upside down when her sister is kidnapped. Everyone knows what happens except Gwen. She feels very oblivious to what happened. And the next night, her sister turns up with Peter Pan asking her to come to Neverland. Of course, Gwen wants to keep her sister safe and goes to Neverland with her, and she learns that there is a war between reality and Neverland. I've already read this book. I will tell you my thoughts in the August and July wrap-up. Then weeks later, I went to the bookstore again. So on my trip to Barnes & Noble's, I got 2 more books. Hey, still haven't read them. This book I picked up, I heard a lot about because, first of all, the movie was awful, I've heard. But I've heard the book is really good from friends, and that is Aragon by, I'm not even gonna try, Polini? Well, it was a young boy named Aragon. He finds a rock, but it turns out it's a dragon egg, and he becomes a dragon rider, which has been a species of people who fly with dragons, has been deceased forever, but there's one master left, and the master trains him, and war breaks out. I didn't pick up this book because it sold 35 million copies, or it's been 10 years out in publishing, or the good reviews. I picked it up because it's like Star Wars. And my friend recommended me this, and it was The Night That We Said Yes by Lauren Gidodol. What I really know about this book is that these 4 people, they have a crazy night and everyone has fun, and then the next day one of them just leaves town without telling the others, and they're really sad about it until the next year the guy comes back and everyone's like, whoa, where'd you come from? And that's basically all I know. As you can see, I'm so good with book summaries. Like, I give the full-on book summary detail. Then days later, I went to see Ghostbusters. Then we went to the mall, and in my mall there's a Books-A-Million. I didn't know Books-A-Million was so awesome because there's so many sales. I got 10% off a Gryffindor shirt from catching a Pokemon in there. I'm gonna go to Books-A-Million a lot now. There was a sale in the young adult section for buy two, get the third one free, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need this in my life. There was a trilogy there, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll get that trilogy. It's The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. First book is The Summer I Turned Pretty. It's not summer without you, as we'll always have summer. I read this book last year, didn't really enjoy it. Read it again this year because I was kind of like, I need a refresher. It was okay. I'm reading this one now, and hopefully I'll be reading this one too. Hopefully I can complete this trilogy. So, then I went to the Harry Potter Cursed Child event. I have a vlog for it. I'll link it down below. Also went with my friends, and we made a Harry Potter Guess the Movie book video. I'll also link that down below. But at the event, we kind of were like, okay, we have to buy some other book with the Cursed Child. But I got the unofficial Harry Potter cookbook. As you can see, there's sticky notes in here. Put these sticky notes in recipes that I kind of want to bake or like to eat. This stuff will be beautiful for Christmas. I got all this for Christmas. I'm gonna have my own Christmas dinner. Then, one of the last books I have to haul in this video. You can't go to a Harry Potter event without getting the Harry Potter book. And that is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by Jack Thorne. This book, if you don't know, is the 8th installment of the Harry Potter series, but actually it is a play that is in London right now. It comes over to the US, please. This book follows her favorite characters after Deathly Hallows. It actually starts in the epilogue of Deathly Hallows. And you can see my thoughts when I film and upload my July and August wrap-up. The last thing I have to haul is the thing I got yesterday. You're the reason why I had to refilm this book haul. The book I got was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, and illustrations by Jim Kay. This book, I don't really know what it's about. All I know is that there's a movie coming out. Great things about this book. The illustrations are absolutely gorgeous and dark and looks really beautiful. Well, thank you guys for watching. Haha, you thought that was the end of the haul? Actually, an hour after I filmed the haul, my dad was like, hey, wanna go to Barnes & Noble? Of course I had to buy something. You can't just go into Barnes & Noble's and not buy anything. So the book I picked up at Barnes & Noble was How to Hang a Witch by Audrey Matthew. I actually saw the book trailer for this book about a month before it came out, and I was really intrigued by this. This book basically follows a girl who is a descendant of the person who started the Salem witch trials, and she comes back into Salem, and everyone hates her, especially the people called the Descendants, who are descendants of, you guessed it, the witches of the Salem witch trials. All this crappy stuff starts happening once this girl comes to town, and she has to figure out what's going on. I'm super excited to read this book. I think the main character is obsessed with sarcasm, as I've read at the first sentence, and we all know with my sarcasm. Then I went to my friend's birthday party. I think since it was a birthday party, I would give stuff to her. She wouldn't have to give stuff to me. Basically, she had this pile of books that she was going to sell, and she was like, guys, if you see anything in here, just take it. I saw stuff. First book I saw in there was Wolf Princess by Catherine Constable. I don't really know what this book is about. All I know it's a wolf princess, and it seems really interesting. Then I saw a book that I've already read and I already own, but it was a hardcover, and that is The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. I have this book in paperback, and I have almost all of the Heroes of Olympus series in hardcover except Sun and Neptune now. I need to find a copy of Sun and Neptune, which is hardcover. It's really gorgeous hardcover. I really love it. Thanks, friend, for giving me this. Then the last book I picked up was kind of random, but I was laughing really hard. Club Penguin. Waddle Lots of Laughs. It has 140 jokes inside. Why didn't the penguin wash himself after he went to the beach? Because he was a sunbather. Heh, heh. If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Comment down below some books that you've read in this haul and some books that you've hauled recently. Gotta go. Bye. Our Descendants. There goes one of my lights.